Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Old Ridge Farm, where, as you can see, I've brought the pickup and the trailer full of lambs over to the main farm because, well, number one, I need to get it down here anyway because the animal sales point is just over here, and number two, I realised I'd have to run up to the sheep otherwise. And that wasn't something I wanted to do. So we're going to set off the lambs first, and then I'm going to go over to field 1 and show you what happened over there. We didn't end up using all of the slurry because of reasons, and they're reasons I'll get to in a moment. So how do I need to open the door and... Oh, they are selling. Okay. So you can see, as you can see, our money's going up, and the sheep are going down. Does it continue selling if I got the door closed? Miraculously, yes. So I'm gonna try and turn this thing in here. This could be a fun prospect. Never mind, works perfectly. Because I need to go back over to the main farm, run over all of their nice grass. I need to go back over here, and I'm going to pick up a John Deere. Now the John Deere that I need is conveniently parked just there. So I'm going to park in the shed, because I crashed and I can't be bothered trying to fix it. Now this John Deere, we are going to be doing some, just a bit of busy work for the time being. I will eventually get around to showing you field 1. Got a couple of, I've got all the fertilizing equipment in that shed there by the calc, and there's a part of me thinking I don't really need the plows, so they might be biting the dust in the near future, because, well, either I'm going to take a couple of hours ploughing up the fields, or Courseplay is going to make a mess of it and still take a couple of hours. So I figure having no ploughs at all is the lesser of two evils, and it gets us a bit of money. So let's finally get the John Deere over here, because we want to pick up some wheat or barley. Which do we have less of? We've got barley. Okay, so let's get rid of the barley, or as much of it as we can. That should be enough, actually. I'm just going to fill up with all of it, just to be on the safe side. And this barley, once we go through field 1, which I'm going to show you now, barley is going to go to the lambs. We're not going to be selling it. And field 1, hopefully it's got the texturing, because I did use all 3 types of manure, and it kind of has. So this texture here with the big light brown splotches is manure. This one over here with the dark brown splotches is solid manure, and you might be able to see over here somewhere. Yes, these white splotches are the calc or the lime. So they're all 3 fertilizer types. Fields 1, A and B are all fertilized up and ready to go. So instead of actually driving across the field, which actually it's not planted, so I can do this. I was gonna say it's gonna damage the crops. There are no crops. I'm good. So the pellet sprayer that I have is in fact a good idea. Was in fact a good idea because it's quite wide. The calc is the same price as fertilizer, really, but it doesn't have the issue where I keep running into trees. So I'm kind of happy I decided to do that. Now the reason we've got barley in the trailer here, if I go to this page and this page, is because the lambs will take grain. No, they'll take either wheat or barley. That's why I was checking between the two. I'm going to give them barley. I can also give them earth fruits, which are sugar beets and potatoes. Don't have enough of them that I'd be wanting to give them to the sheepies. I do, of course, because I started the map on normal, and I don't think I edited the... Did I edit the silos to 0? Did I edit the silos to 0? Storage. I did not. Just had to check that. So, we do have some sugar beet and some potatoes, which I had to double check because I couldn't remember if I'd remembered to edit the silos to 0, and I obviously didn't. Oh well, that's just free stuff that I'm never going to use anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to come around... Is there a way in there? No. So we're going to have to come around this way. Through this shed. And we're going to dump the barley into the sheep, the lambs. And the dump point for the barley is this middle one. So let's try and get this lined up nicely. That won't take too much, I presume. Oh! Took a bit more than I expected. So that's the sheep, the lambs. About as full up as we can get them. So now let's just check for the price of barley. 636 at the transport company, 720 at the hotel, and the farm shop. 739 at Decalb. Whoops. So I suppose we're going to Decalb, which is where? Decalb. It is down by the shop. Now we will eventually get on to harvesting the soybeans, possibly in this episode, but I just want to get rid of this trailer load of barley, and I don't want to throw it back into storage, because I'm planning on doing a barley harvest on all of my fields next, or split wheat barley harvest. So I've taken a wrong turn. I'm just gonna do a cheeky U-turn. So I discovered off screen, and I'm sure somebody's already mentioned it, that if I opened up the lid of the manure spreader, because I kept closing it down once I had manure in it, if I opened that up I would have got a wider spray pattern, and I realised that off screen. That was my bad. That was me being... I thought I was being smart, but in fact it was a really bad idea. My logic there was, okay, so I'm going to keep the lid down so that I can aim the manure. You know, if I had the lid up, the cover up, it could go pretty much anywhere, including straight upwards. Apparently that was wrong. Apparently the lid was at the correct angle so that it would go out in the right way, and the chains were flailing just right that it would go out in the right way. I didn't know this, so I'm gonna defend myself to the death with that one. And I know you guys have already called me out, or at least some of you, even if it's not in the comments. I'm sure somebody out there said, "Oh dude, no, that's wrong." Because I know that I do too, when I'm watching videos, is I can be watching somebody and I rarely if ever comment on anybody's videos, except my own when I'm helping you guys out or whatever. But I do say to myself, dude, no, I feel sorry for you, because there's going to be people in the comments just going, "Oh no, you're doing it all wrong, why are you playing this game, you don't know anything." I will openly admit I know very little about farming. But I do try. Is this Decalb? This is Decalb. Decalb, show me your sell points. Is this this your sell points? This looks to be a sell point. This is a sell point. Ooh, does this have the dynamic cell trigger? I was going to say apparently that's not a sell point. Does this have the dynamic cell trigger? No. Oh. I've seen some maps where a fill plane will actually rise up out of the ground on those cell triggers, and I'm not quite sure what to look for that. But I do, and you possibly already have seen it, depending on when I want to bring it out. Mainly when I want to record it and get it edited. In the last episode, I'm going to backtrack on myself a bit. In the last episode I mentioned I was going to start a second series. And this series is going to be Farm Sim Hardcore. The idea of it is I'm going to pick a pretty big map and challenge myself to not end up in debt at midnight. Now I'll be doing a day-by-day basis, so you guys will be able to follow what day in-game it is. So I'll be putting up, hopefully if I remember this, I'll be editing in, like at the start of the video, day 1, day 2, day 3 or whatever, and showing how much I had at the start of that day period. And for the purposes of the series it'll be midnight to midnight, which is coincidentally what an actual day is. There we go. But the kind of the goal in season 1 is to survive, because I've chosen Banticow and I haven't recorded it yet, but I know that's going to be a challenge. It's a... Where did I put the lowboy? Did the game eat it? Oh, there it is. Looks to be parked up outside field 11. So let's go through over here. And we need to pick up the harvester and bring it down to fields 8 and 9. As I've already said, these fields have been fertilized. I decided to go for nuts to... I'm going to drive through the hedge here because it's a bit easier. I decided to go for lime on these fields, just because reasons. And as I already said, I probably said it already, I don't know. Just for the time being, I'm going to ignore the header trailer rule, because that header trailer is an absolute unmitigated disaster, and I'm kind of saving up to get a better one. So let's get the combine over to the soybeans. Maybe wondering, hey, you planted this with a corn planter, why do you not need a corn header? Well, that's the funny thing about soybeans, is they actually grow so low to the ground that if you... I've seen videos of people doing soybean harvest, so I know this. They grow quite low to the ground, so if you used a corn header, the corn header is used for corn which is quite tall, and occasionally some other tall-ish crops. If you tried to use it on soybeans, you'd just end up crushing your soybeans, because the corn header wouldn't get them. It would just flat out go over them. The corn headers are pretty much just made the way they are so that the corn is nice and lined up when it's going in. That's why the big spikes are there. Or I'm saying that as if it's fact. That's why I think they're there. If I'm wrong and you're a farmer and you actually know why they're there, call me out, because I'm just an idiot town boy trying to tell people things. So let's go into field 9 first, because oh, this is going to be hilarious. Because I don't think we can fit down this road. Well, haven't I been proved correct? Can I bring this? This is literally as far over as I can get the combine. Okay, we're past the first tree. There's a second tree. There's also a van. Okay, so we're gonna have to pull out wide for this. Essentially go into the hedge. And now cut back really tight so the combine it's gonna get stuck on the tree, isn't it? Is it getting stuck on the tree? No, I've cut it just right by the looks of things. The header's gonna get stuck, the header's gonna get stuck, the header's gonna... Oh! Nailed it! So, that was a bit of fun. Get out of this. And into the combine. No. Can you spot where I went wrong? Does kind of help if you remember to put down the ramps. And get them in a position where the combine can actually make it into the field. So now we're going to try and get the combine into the field. This is going to be the fun bit. So let's go in cab for this section, because I am insane. In fact, no. What? "11-point turn, people. 11-point turn is the way forward." Oof. Okay. If you ever see something like this in real life, I want pictures, I want videos, I want all of the things. Because, number one, that's crazy and stupid. Number two, I just managed it without hitting anything. Somehow. So let's start the soybean harvest. As you can see, the header's just catching up nicely. And chop straws taking effect and throwing down what is really just wheat particles. In the grain tank, I think it's also wheat particles they're using. It's pretty much all the wheat particle effects. I'm gonna actually keep it cheeky and do this so I get a nice corner there. So soybeans are really, really, really good. Just kind of on this map, really good just for the sake of growing seeds, because that's essentially what you're doing. The seed master can turn inexplicably soybeans into all seeds. In reality, you would actually have to get a specific kind of crop that would produce viable seeds. Most seed companies like Monsanto, I know they have purpose-bred wheat and soybeans and what have you, that no matter what you try, you will never get a viable seed off it. It's just for human consumption, or in some cases animal consumption. It's intentionally been bred so that the seeds are the seeds and the grains are, I want to say infertile, but they've been growing, so technically they are fertile. They're never going to make a seed that can germinate. In order for a seed to grow, it must germinate, which means it must have the ability to grow a root system and a stem, and potentially grow into a full-fledged plant. a lot of seed companies' seeds just don't. They're a bit evil in doing that because that means the farmer has to buy a new batch of seeds every dang year. But that's the way that industry works. I guess people are okay with it, despite the fact that Monsanto, etc. are kind of evil. I don't really have a choice, to be fair. The farmers, not Monsanto. Monsanto definitely have a choice. But, yeah. Reasonable things. You know what? I'm gonna say, because of the rules, these are genetically modified soybeans. Now some people are gonna say, you shouldn't be growing GM crops ever. I don't get people who are anti-GM crops. Genetically modified anything. Because if you're anti-genetically modified anything, you should never take any antibiotics in your life ever. Because they're made by genetically modified bacteria. So if you're anti-GM foods and crops, say bye-bye to your antibiotics, and in fact most of your drugs. Medicinal drugs, I should say. They're almost exclusively made by genetically modified bacteria. And you may be asking, how do I know this? The reason I know this is because I have a bachelor's degree in biomedical sciences, and I have genetically modified bacteria in the past. I have literally seen DNA. It's kind of like really thick spider silk and very clumpy. It sounds bizarre, doesn't it? You know, I've seen something that's completely microscopic and is the building blocks of all life. But it's true, and I know a way to extract it. I've extracted DNA before in several different methods. I've extracted it and I've seen it. I haven't held it in my hand. Some nasty stuff gets used in certain methods. But yeah, I've crystallized it, I've done all of that stuff with DNA. And yeah. Some people wonder how I can state things as fact. I never actually do. I state my opinions. And because of the way that science kind of works, here's the thing, and we were taught this in college or university or uni or whatever you want to call it. 50% of everything you've ever been told is wrong. 50%, half of everything you know is wrong. The issue is, you don't know what 50%. You don't know what you don't know. So, by saying this is just the thing, I'm saying, well, this is what I have been told the thing is. I could be wrong, but current scientific evidence states that I'm right. That's life. You know, you say something and then you find out it's wrong, and if you're smart and you're brave, you'll just say, well, I was wrong and I'm sorry. In any case, I have to get back to the farm, and I think this is going to be the only episode of Oldridge I'm going to record today. I might hop into Bantacow and start up the other map, the other series. I have done some testing, and it does seem to be a viable idea. It's gonna be a long one, I think. Now I do have a fail state and a win state thought up for Bantacow, so it's not going to be an infinite series, and I think I'm going to keep the hardcore as kind of seasons as well. So, finishing up today, I'm going to be finishing up things to say and saying by saying and saying repeatedly. I have crashed. I have been Rainbow Dave. You've been watching Farming Simulator 15 on Old Ridge Farm. Please comment, like and subscribe. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time, and until then, stay safe and goodbye. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Crashed.